friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. Got my shirt on, by the way. Really enjoyed that shirt. Thank you to that wonderful viewer for sending it to me. Got a lot of looks and stops, and people were stopping me and reading it down in Mountain View. So thank you very much. Of course, that's a music town, so everybody was interested in anything music related down there. It was a perfect place to wear it. There comes a time in every man's life where he has to say goodbye to his children, one way or the other. So I guess we're at that point here with our twins. If you saw the video, one or two videos ahead of this one, where I played it down in Mountain View, the UK mandolin was buzzing a little bit on the highs. Not a big deal, but you know, you couldn't really get down there and get on it on the highs for sure. So that's what we're going to fix on the UK mandolin. Just going to go over it, clean it up real good, put it in the case and get it ready to ship. Same way with the other mandolin, we're just going to go over it real good and get it ready to ship. We're going to check them both out real carefully. I had thought originally the Florida fellow was going to meet me in Mountain View, but when he decided he couldn't make it because of illness, the pressure was off and I didn't tweak them that final little bit of tweaking because I didn't have time. You know, I could have made time, but I had a lot of other things to do before I left for Mountain View. So that's what suffered in the shuffle because I didn't have the pressure to get them done. We got time to do those little tweaks right now, and then we're going to say goodbye. So here we go. I couldn't tell you all the nice comments I got on these two down there. Everybody just seemed to love them, and I really am proud of them. They turned out really nice. We're just going to do a little tweaking here on this one. Not going to completely unstring it. I'm just going to move the strings to the side, get rid of the little problem right here. Just again, I didn't really show this up close, but the UK mandolin has the Waverly tuning keys with the Ivoroid buttons. The other one has the pearl buttons. The pearl buttons is what I actually have standardized on, but you know, in this case, because of the restrictions of importing things, and just to play it safe, we went with the Ivoroid buttons on this. What you can do in a case like this, where you don't really need to do, you know, a lot of work especially, is you just pull the strings down, lay them alongside, and they kind of go back under the fretboard there, and they're out of your way. You know, and I know we've got a little problem right in this area here, so I'm just lightly laying it on there, and often I can actually feel the problem. I can feel a little bit of a teeter there, just a little tiny bit. So it's right in this area here. Started recrowning these. It dawned on me I didn't have the camera on, so if you're new to doing this, I would almost recommend putting something down to cover your fretboard because there's a good chance you could scratch your fretboard. I'm willing to take the risk and fix the problem if I have a problem. I typically don't have a problem with it. On these F styles, a lot of times you got to watch because you can hit this, hit the scroll with into your file. So I turn it around this way and put my thumb there, and you know, it just kind of gives me that little bit of extra insurance that I'm not going to go that far. That looks pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I see a spot right here, maybe. Just a little spot. Now I would like to just do a little bit more on these frets just to make them look just a little bit better yet. You can see I have a post-it note on both sides of the fret, and that will allow me to put this 1200 sandpaper on there and work it back and forth just to shine it up a little bit. I don't have to do very much, and I don't want to do very much because I don't want to reduce the height of the fret. Just a little bit of touch up on each fret is all that I'm doing, just to make them all look real consistent. Very light sanding, and this is with 1200. The reason I want to put the paper down is I don't want any scuffs on the fretboard, mainly because I would have to re-dye the fretboard. I dyed the fretboard black to make it look good and consistent all the way through. That looks good. Everything feels nice and smooth. And I think we're ready to string her back up perhaps. But before I do that, I think I'll just go ahead and lightly oil this with some linseed oil. Linseed oil is very good for the raw wood like this. You know, the only caution that I make is that you don't leave it set. You wipe it right back off. And then even a few minutes later, it's a good idea to wipe it again because it will kind of seep back out of the pores. Just one little tiny dab of linseed oil is all it took to do that whole fretboard. Just a tiny dab. You don't need much at all. Take a different rag and wipe it just one more time just to make sure. I didn't put very much on there, so I don't expect it to seep out like it often does. If you put a lot on there, then like I said, you should come back a little bit late in a few minutes and wipe it again. But I don't think this is going to do that because I barely put enough on there to even lightly touch the surface. So I think we're good. Gonna go ahead and put the strings back on it. I'm not gonna show that part because you've seen that a million times. I am gonna buff out right here where the bridge was setting. It's not really that scuffed or anything, but you can see a slight mark where the bridge was setting. And so I'll clean that up. I'm also gonna, while I've got this bridge off there, make sure these edges are not sharp. I typically file them off. They don't feel real sharp or anything, but on the other hand, they don't feel real dull. So I'm just going to go across them with this little file just right on the corners and just kind of rotate it a little bit and round those corners, just the corners. I'm not trying to make a big bevel or anything. That way when you slide this bridge, if you need to slide it under tension, it won't dig into your finish. And it doesn't hurt to do it on the ends either. Again, not very much because you don't want to cut a big bevel on there. You just want to knock off the sharpness. This side is the E. Turn it this way so I get it on the right way. The E's on this side. That's where this is. And it's ready to go back on here. Nope, gotta buff out that top. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Just got a little bit of flitz on my towel here, rubbing it in that area where there was some scuffing. I'll just go ahead and then just move on around the whole instrument a little bit on the top and just kind of give it this little last final bit of love here. I can still see a tiny little bit of a mark there. I'm going to dampen the towel down. I like to do that first before I use the flitz. I can see a tiny mark on this one. It's not enough to make a difference at this point, but it could over time. Just that the bridge made, and I'm going to work on that. I see a spot on the bridge there that may be a little bit sharp or something. It's on the inside of the foot, toward the middle of the bridge, and so I just want to check that out. Actually, it looks like I could even see a tiny little bit of an indentation on the other one too. So we'll just see if we can address that real quick. On the feet of the bridge, for whatever reason, it looks like it's rubbing. I don't feel anything rough there, but it does look like it's putting a little bit more pressure right there than anywhere else, which kind of stands to reason. It's directly under the strings. But you know, if I can do a little bit there to, you know, lighten that up a little bit. Here's a piece of 220, and I'm only going to just kind of work just this corner here, just a little bit on that one and on this one, just to make sure that it's not putting undue pressure right there. It's not very much, but you know, any little bit might help there. Okay, we can put it back on. And now I'm just going to get it all lined up and strung back up. Going to play the UK mandolin for you here now to show you that there's no problem with the highs now. Play that same song and you'll see that it goes right through it without any issues. Really happy with this mandolin. Just got the nicest, deepest, clearest tone. Both of them do, really. I can't really tell any difference from one to the other. I'm playing the Tennessee Waltz in D. Yeah, it's nice and clear. You can just keep going. Very good shape, very ready to play right on stage right now. Just gonna polish it up a little bit more, just make sure I get all the fingerprints off of it. I'll show you putting it in the case. Well, here's your final close-up of the UK mandolin. By the way, there's the James tailpiece. I don't know if that's glaring or not. I'm trying to get it where it doesn't glare in the camera there. And there's your deer antler saddle in the middle of it there. We move up to the fretboard. This one has the pearloid dots and the ivory buttons. There's a look, I'll try to get it where you can see that natural red colored wood, which is the padauk. The yellow wood is the wood I cut right off of my farm here, which I kind of like to use just because of the fact that it came right off the farm here. I think it's kind of cool. That's a yellow wood and it's called Osage orange. I think it'll turn more darker and maybe even more towards the brown green colored later. That is maple on the inlay. There's a back look at the back of the peg head. And there's a look at the neck. That is walnut. The dark strips are walnut in between the maple there. And the walnut was cut by me as well. I don't remember whether it was specifically cut off the farm here or not. It could have been, but I don't know for sure on that. This is the rose, and someone asked, well, why is this stem green? Well, that's because I dyed it green with leather dye. I would like the other one to be green, but you know, I don't know of any green wood growing right here on the farm. But there you go, that's the final look. Now, I guess what I'd like to know from you guys is, I'm really thinking about standardizing on this in terms of using the wood rather than the shell. readily available, I guess you'd say. You know, we're not hurting anything, I don't think, by using the wood. Not that we're really hurting anything by using the shell either too much, but I really think this kind of gives it that old world look. I think it looks real rich myself. I don't think either one of them's that much harder to do than the other. They're both pretty hard to do. So actually probably cutting out the wood is probably a little bit easier, but the difference is the wood, I have to cut it out in individual tiny little pieces. So that's a little bit more tedious. Where the shell, like that whole rose, I can cut it out in one piece and then just etch the design into it. Much easier to do. So, you know, but I kind of like the wood, and I'm thinking about just standardizing on that because nobody else is doing that for sure. Just let me know what you think about that. Now we'll take a final look at the Florida mandolin. Well, I'm just going to be truthful with you. This one's got a little bit of buzziness going on down in here too. It does. Maybe just after setting up, strung up for a couple of days and, you know, that kind of thing. After playing it a little bit and it relaxing and everything, it's got just a little bit of buzziness. I will show you the pick action is very low. Lower than, you know, a lot of mandolins. Look at that. It holds the pick back here. So, you know, I can easily blame it on that. But I think I don't have it too low, although that's pretty low. You got to admit that's pretty low. I mean, it's holding a pick all the way back here. But it's a little tiny bit buzzy right in here, just very minor amount. I mean, I could easily get rid of that if I just raise this up a little bit, but you know me, I'm just going to go ahead and just lightly level and do the same thing I did to the other one. I'm not going to film it, but I am going to do it. Just not going to film it just to save the length of the video. Just so that, you know, they say if you don't see it on camera, it ain't been done. Well, here's the Florida mandolin, and you can see that I've been filing the frets there. So, you know, just so you know. Well, I've got the Florida mandolin all tweaked up here, and I'll play a tune on it. I'll show you that the highs are real good now. It also had a little bit of a problem, not quite as bad as the other one, but you know, it definitely was buzzy. Got the action and intonation set real well on both of them now. They both are absolutely wonderful in my opinion. So let's see. Let's just show you that the highs are good. So I'm tired of playing the Tennessee waltz, so let's play a different waltz. Let's play Kentucky waltz. Well, here's a final look at the Florida mandolin. If I'm being honest and you want to ask for, well, which one would you prefer? And I'll be perfectly honest with you about this. Sound-wise, playing-wise, I truly, honestly can't really tell hardly any difference at all. So to me, that's a toss-up. So that doesn't make me one bit of difference, which is probably the thing I'm the most proud of, actually, is that I would take either one of them that way. They're wonderful. Looks wise, I'll be honest and say I actually prefer the looks of this one. I like that dark stripe up the middle. That's just me. I don't know. I just like it. That's just nature, you know. I didn't do that. It's just the way the board grew. You can see even that a little bit on the other one, but it just showed up more on this one for whatever reason. I don't know why. So looks wise, I kind of like the looks of that better. That's just me. But, you know, everybody's got their own thing. But here's a close-up of the back and the close-up of the rose on the Florida mandolin. Here's a close-up of like the scroll and the fretboard, and you can see this has the abalone dots. And then I didn't even wipe off the peg head yet on this one. I should have. You can probably see fingerprints and stuff, but there's the peg head on it, and really they look just about identical. There's hardly any difference at all. You know, close enough to be called identical twins, I would say, because even identical twins have little minor little details that are different, you know. So I couldn't be much happier with them. I guess we'll just show you putting them in the case now and saying bye. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lower all the string tension down just a few turns on each string, just so that there's not quite so much tension here in case it gets bounced around pretty hard. Where they just kind of make a dull sound on each string. That, you know, I think that's enough tension off of there that it won't be that much stress if it does get bounced. I've given it a final look over. I'm ready to put it in the case. So here we go. This is the Florida mandolin. I got to tell you, I've been buying these. I think they're called Silver Creek cases. I've been buying them from Musician's Friend. I was pretty happy with the first couple ones I bought. Although I got to tell you, they fit incredibly tight. These are good too. I mean, they look about the same. I really like the rich look of them. They have the old feel of the original cases, all that. They do have some issues. They're a little bit fiddly on closing them up. For instance, they don't just close easily sometimes, so you kind of have to set them on the lid edge to push the lid up to get it to close. I mean, little stupid things like that. I don't know if I'll buy any more of these or not. This is what I've got this time, and this is what's going to happen this time. But, you know, I really can't find another case that's reasonably priced that I like as well as these. Now, the other negative of this, and you'll see it on their reviews, is, well, what mandolin does that even fit? My mandolin won't fit in there, you know, and you get that a lot with this case. And I have to admit, they're incredibly snug tight. So I'm showing the buyers of this how to get your mandolin in here. You set it down on top, just kind of eyeball, kind of level here, and then you just kind of you just kind of fiddle with it and just kind of wiggle it down in there. The darn lid just won't stay open right now either, wouldn't you know, on video, of course. But anyway, you just kind of keep wiggling it, and it will go down in there eventually. You just kind of wiggle it down in there good and tight. I do like that in a way, that it's so tight in there that it doesn't bounce around. But they could have added a little bit more padding and a little less hardness around here. Wouldn't have hurt anything at all. You know, it's just kind of stupid that they make it that tight with such thin padding. Otherwise, I kind of like the case. But other than that, I just wanted to show that it is pretty hard to get the mandolin in there. Now, again, closing it up, you can see once you turn it up on edge and you push it back like that, then it'll push the edge right on over. You know, it's kind of a pain in the neck. You just can't get good help. You can't get good quality anymore. Otherwise, I really do like the case. So there it is. That's what we got. That's what's going out with this one. I may try to find something different for the next ones. If you all have a real favorite case out there that you really like, let me know, because I just am not happy with these. I think they're a very good case for protection and all that, but I don't know. It just is what it is. I'm just covering these back over. This is the covering that came with them when I bought them. Not that it really makes much difference. By the way, all these cases have little tiny blemishes, you know, in different places, which really sucks. They fix them from the factory, but they all have it. So it's just kind of annoying too. As an example, like right here, you can see, maybe you can see a little kind of a blemish like, and they all have that. Every case I've ever bought from them has a little bit of that. So anyway, that's the first one. That was the Florida Mandolin. By the way, I have them tagged on the outside so I can keep them straight. So, you know, I send the right one to the right place. Got the UK Mandolin ready to go in the case. I'm gonna lower the strings down on it. That keeps enough tension to keep the bridge in place, I believe, but yet it's not so much tension that it's pushing so hard on the top. So let's put this one in the case. Once again, you just kind of have to set it on there, kind of get it level, and just kind of wiggle it down in there, and it goes right on down in there. But only the Lloyd Loar style will fit in this. Thought you might like to see what I'm doing to box this up. This is the box that the case actually came in. But to be perfectly honest, it's a very flimsy cardboard, but it's good for an inner box. So I'm also cutting it using the knife that Colin sent me. And I am making the box as small as I can possibly make it. The main reason is that, you know, when you ship on overseas especially, I mean, every inch makes a huge difference in the cost. So I'm trying to get it as small as possible and protect it as much as possible. So I'm just, you know, cutting off anything that's not absolutely needed and folding it around. And so ouch, doggone, I just stabbed myself with the knife. So I'm folding up the ends here and making this inner box as small as possible. And we're going to bubble wrap this too inside the inner box, by the way, just so you know. But that makes the box about 4 inches shorter right there. This is the inner box, keep in mind. But that makes it about 4 inches shorter. And that makes a huge difference in cost. So anyway, I thought I'd give you an idea. Now I'm going to wrap this in bubble wrap on the inside, and then I'm going to put it in an actual Gibson guitar box, and I'm going to cut that box down where it's just slightly bigger than this all the way around, put padding around this box in between the other one, and that's as good as you can do. You know, I'm using bubble wrap, so that's about as good as you can do, and you just have to let the gorillas handle it from that point on. Well, I'm sure it probably sounds corny to some of you, but I would say the vast majority of you would understand that it is a little difficult to say goodbye to those mandolins after working so hard on them. But that's what I do this for, so you kind of have to get a thick skin and just say, see ya. You know, the cool thing about it though is that you think, you know, if they're taken care of, then 300 years from now, they'll still be played. And that's pretty cool. Thanks for watching.